Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at a really interesting set of search terms, all centered around one word, Harvard.
Yeah, it's quite the mix we've got here.
It really is. We see the expected, like Harvard University, obviously,
Yeah.
but then there are names Alan Garber, Elise Stefanik.
And the political dimension is strong too, isn't it? Harvard, Trump, Trump, Harvard.
Even Harvard rejects Trump. That one jumped out. Plus, you have the Harvard Endowment, the word antisemitism, and interestingly, the Boston Globe.
So the idea is to kind of piece these together, see what picture emerges.
Exactly. Let's try and understand what this cluster tells us about Harvard at this particular moment.
Okay, well, starting with the core, Harvard and Harvard University. That's our anchor point, right? The institution itself.
The central player.
Yeah,
Its reputation alone means it's often in the spotlight.
for sure. Which leads us maybe to those political terms, Harvard, Trump, Trump, Harvard, that rejects phrase.
Right. Why so prominent, do you think? Is it just the big names involved?
Well, partly that, probably. But Harvard, being seen as, well, elite, it often becomes a sort of symbol, doesn't it, in wider political debates?
A symbol. Or maybe a target.
Could be both. And that idea of Harvard rejecting Trump, well, that speaks volumes, potentially, about values or maybe perceived ideology.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what about Elise Stefanik? How does she connect here?
Well, she's a notable alumna, right? And very active politically.
Uh-huh.
So her actions, her statements, they sometimes get linked back, drawing attention to her Harvard connection. It can stir up debate.
Okay. And Alan Garber, his name popping up suggests.
Usually when a leader's name is being searched like that, it means they're involved in something significant, maybe policy changes, public statements, dealing with challenges.
So likely linked to current events or the university's direction. Makes sense.
Then you have the Harvard Endowment. That's always lurking, isn't it? The financial side.
It's massive. Why the interest now, specifically, tied in with these other terms?
Well, the sheer scale means it's always of interest to some degree. People might be looking into its investments, its performance.
Or maybe debates about how it's used, its ethical side.
Exactly. How it funds the university, what it supports. That's often under scrutiny.
And then
Yeah.
the term antisemitism. That's a heavy one.
Yeah.
Its presence here feels significant.
It really does. It strongly suggests Harvard is, like unfortunately many universities, grappling with this issue, maybe specific incidents or broader campus climate discussions.
So it's a major part of the current public conversation about Harvard.
Seems unavoidable, based on the search data.
Okay, and lastly, the Boston Globe. Just a local newspaper? Or...
Well, yes, local, but a major one. Its inclusion implies these other topics, Trump, Stefanik, Garber, the endowment, anti-Semitism, are being actively reported on. It's the lens through which many people might be seeing these connections.
So it's amplifying or at least documenting these intersections.
Precisely. It confirms these aren't just abstract links, they're playing out in the news.
So pulling it all together then,
Yeah.
we have this picture of Harvard not just as an academic institution, but as a focal point for politics, finance, major social issues.
Yeah, it's like a crossroads.
Yeah.
These search terms show it's deeply tangled up in current events and broader societal debates. It's not separate at all.
Each term gives a different window onto that engagement, doesn't it?
It really does. Politics, money, leadership challenges, social justice concerns, they all seem to converge right there.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How one institution, even a very old and established one, becomes this arena for so many different contemporary arguments and anxieties. What does that say about the role we expect universities to play today? Something to ponder.